Hello everyone, welcome to Homeschool Autism Life. My name is Jamie and I am sounding a little bit under the weather. It's good, it's actually quite mild, but of course you have to sound funny in order to do the video. So I just thought today I would talk about something that's been on my mind for the last several weeks. You saw the title, it's the end of the world because my homeschool plan is not turning out the way I had originally planned. Now, this is the first year that I haven't completed all of the units that I had planned to do with my kids. I'm going to end up missing, I think, one for sure. But it was on my mind for about 3 weeks because I was like, oh my goodness, okay, I've only got the 8 months of the two, so April is going to be crazy. I always say April is my crazy month, and so usually I do a mini unit for that month just so that I can breathe a little bit between all of the birthdays, Easter, all of the things that I usually have going on. And then I have May and June. The issue is I take 6 weeks to do one of the main units from Gather Round Homeschool. So I have planned to do the artist unit and botany unit. And then I had planned for April, the beginning of April, to be doing the Growing Up with God unit with my girls, and unfortunately it isn't ready yet. And so it was one of those things where I was like, okay, then my original plan is completely just topsy-turvy. I know that I'm not the only one who has gone to that place where you're like, oh my goodness, my plan is not going to work. How do I adjust? And so I thought that I would share what I'm doing, how I came to this decision after 3 weeks of going, okay, what do I do? And I'm okay with it. I am. My daughter was a little bit kind of downhearted because she was really looking forward to the artist unit, but I'm planning on doing that in September. I'm like, it's right after your birthday, we will be doing it, so don't worry. But the reason why I wanted to share is because it has bothered me. It has. Usually I am very easygoing about stuff, but when you have a plan and it doesn't go the way you want, usually I'm pretty flexible. But when it comes to my kids' education and feeling a little bit like I let them down somehow, even though there were circumstances beyond my control, it's so funny how we feel that way sometimes. So the big thing is that over the course of the year, from September all the way to now, Darian, what you singing? Mama's making a video, so hush on the set, okay? Yeah. So he's watching a video where somebody is in trouble, and so he's screaming along with them. It's quite funny. But essentially, all those months from September till now, there's been something going on, a day here, a day there, and we haven't necessarily been able to catch up. Now, ordinarily, that doesn't usually bother me at all, but when I got to April, and we actually had a death in the family, and I realized that not only was April going to be filled with that, but I'm also taking my young niece and nephew for a few days so that my sister can go and pay respects. It was like, oh, well, I'm not doing school for quite some time. And I realized then that I would be starting the next unit right when we were in the middle of doing the recital season for my daughters who are in dance, and I am in charge of all of the face paint. And I was like, oh my goodness. And part of it I'm not really sure how it's going to go, because I remember recital season being really poor and really exhausting, but I also caught COVID. So I don't know how. It was like my first recital season, and I actually don't know for sure how bad or how exhausted I'm going to be. But my young niece and nephew, I haven't had young kids in my house for a while, and so, and they're very, the oldest daughter, she's 3 or 4, she is very, very high energy, needs to be doing all of the things all of the time. And then I have 2 days before we start recital season. I'm like, I told my husband, I'm sleeping those days, like I'm going to be catching I'm not doing school. So it all culminated into, okay, I'm not doing anything for April. Essentially, we're doing a small, like, we're continuing our Easter unit, just making that special, and then we're gonna start botany after the recital, or we might start it, in the midst of it, because it's mostly the weekends. But there's going to be a break. There's going to be a break in the middle before we can really get traction again. And so it was one of those things where I had to really readjust my entire plan for the end of the year and be okay with it. So all that to be said is, I look at it and go, if you, like me, come to the end of the year and go, oh my goodness, we are going to finish. I'm thinking about that for math with my girls. We're probably going to be doing math into the summer, because my daughter just struggled. This is the first time she's ever struggled with math, and we had to take it really slow and steady and make sure that she got those concepts before we moved on. Sienna, the same deal. So both of my daughters were struggling with math, and I'm going to have to just slowly take them through and help them through. That is okay if we have to practice math during the summer. We will take a break from doing the units, but I'm like, I can adjust that, right? And then I think there might be the mini unit, because it should be ready by then. We want to do growing up with God, because they're just in that period of their lives where they're questioning things, they want to know things. Of course, they find it all disgusting and gross, which I'm okay with. But I want them to have an understanding that this is the way God made our bodies. This is the way God made us and designed us, and that's okay. So that might go into the summer a little bit as well. But I look at it and I go, it's okay that our plans have changed. And it took me a few weeks to get there. And I wanted to share that, because I know that it happens. I can't be the only one. This is the first year I've ever had where I can go, okay, yeah, we're not going to do everything, but I already have the books. I have it all ready to go. So I'm still looking forward to finishing the year out strong. And no, it is not the end of the world. And my girls are still getting an education, and they're still being able to learn and grow and adapt. And I did promise my youngest, who loves all things art, that we will do lots of art projects in the botany unit. I thought to do botany at the end, like at the beginning of the year, because she was so looking forward to artists. But in Alberta, Canada, where we live, our growing season is starting now. And so I figured, I was like, by September, everything is dead or dying or almost there. And so it would just change the botany unit in a lot of different ways. So I think this is the right decision. I just promised her we will do lots and lots of art projects. I've got lots of pictures to draw and make and whatever. So I think that it'll be okay. But it was quite funny to actually go through the process and go, okay, how do I fix this? So I hope that this honest this is what's happening in our homeschool update, is something that you are encouraged by. I don't know what your situation is, but if you've had to make huge adjustments, it feels huge to me. If you have to make huge adjustments, I hope that you feel like, okay, you know what, I'm not the only one, and our homeschool is not going to suffer if we don't get all of the things in that I had originally planned. And that's the way it is. So I hope that this has been encouraging and you haven't been too annoyed by my voice and nasal stuff happening. But may you be blessed, may your homeschool be blessed as you end the year. And I hope, even if you have this like, oh, I need to change my plans, as you plan for next year, I hope that you are encouraged that it's okay if all of the plans don't happen and you're still excited about the next year. So I think it's going to be a good one, and I maybe get to save a little bit of money and not buy an extra unit. And we'll talk to you next time. Bye.